good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well. Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy March. Can you believe it's March already? March already. Doesn't seem 2 seconds ago that it was Christmas. Time flies when you're having fun. All right, we're talking about Delphi today. We don't go too many days without talking about Delphi and new court filings. So we've got a response from the slickness himself. Nick McClelland has responded to the defence's request for a hearing regarding the preservation of evidence, production and preservation of evidence, which Judge Gull has already denied. But she denied it. The defense put in another document. She denied it again, saying that it was premature. It was premature that because the state hadn't filed a response yet. Well, why issue an order? Judge Gull's order was premature. Honestly, crazy. However, we have got this filing, so we're going to read it. We've also got some exhibits, and we've got a couple of letters from Ricci Davis to read. So for those of you who think he's got really nice handwriting, well, you're going to watch me struggle. Watch me struggle reading them. But they came as exhibits with this court filing. So we've got a lot. We've got Kegan Klein's communications. We've got Ricci Davis's phone calls, and we've got 2 letters. So this is all very interesting. We're going to go through it, and we're going to answer the question, who's the biggest liar? I think it's Kegan Klein. Right, just a heads up. I think it's Kegan Klein. He's the one that is lying, and Nick is choosing to believe this because he's gaslighting everybody. A low internet signal. Oh, it looks like we're back. I've been having problems with my internet for a couple of days now, and my internet's never the best. But we seem to be okay. We seem to have come back. So if I drop again, I'll come straight back. All right, let's see who's in the house. Aussie TV member for 27 months. Thank you so much. Okay, we got Angie Baby, we got Em Osland, Crystal, Peggy, Velvy, Dorical, Midnight in Victoria, Australia. Oh, your crook dog. Oh, your dog's all right. We've got CW taking her daughter to work. We've got Pix, L, Margaret. All right, I'm going to try and decipher this. It was a mistake not to polygraph RD and RL. Ricci Davis and Ron Logan, I think. Ricci was polygraphed. They did polygraph Ricci. Thank you, Kimberly, for gifting 5 memberships. We got Salty Sleuth Investigates, Margaret, Kelsey, maybe, Cold Hearted Bitch, and Nana. Welcome, everybody. If you've never been a member before, go and check out the members area. We've got all sorts of stuff in there. And thank you so much, Kimberly. Yeah, Ricci was polygraphed. Ron Logan, I don't think he was, as far as I remember. Ellie accidentally on purpose harassed witnesses. Independent FBI should do. Ricci Davis and Kegan Klein. Was Ron Logan and Tony Klein involved? Was RA supposed to meet, so Richard Allen supposed to meet Libby, but she's gone. I don't think Richard Allen was there to meet anybody, honestly. I think Richard Allen is just a fall guy, a patsy in all of this. And everything else has just skyrocketed around him. And it's just a bunch of lies. And Michelle, there's another problem. Was Kelsey, not BB. But Betsy. Was KG, not Betsy, the last to see Libby. Betsy saw 2 girls and a male at 1:47. Kelsey testified she dropped Libby and Abby off at 1:49 and saw a black SUV, didn't see cars BB saw. I think Betsy got there a bit later, sorry. I'm not sure, I'd have to check the times. Hello, Steph. We've got Chris. The new letters implicate Richard Allen, so Kegan Klein, Ron Logan, and Richard Allen. I don't think so. It's Kegan Klein that's made all of this stuff up that Ricci has passed on. I think what Ricci heard originally from Ron Logan, I think, is closer to the truth. When Kegan Klein gets involved, he shakes everybody up because he's just an expert liar. Is Shirley Snyder's killer a copycat on the loose? I don't know. I can't answer that. Mike, who isn't a liar? That's a good point. That's a good point. Hello, Keeley. Shaker sister. Apologies for the US to the people of the UK and the EU. Why? What have the US done? I don't watch news, so that concerns me. Michelle, hello. Great name. Salty Sleuth, hello. Blissful. E.T., Felicia. Paper Chaser, Beth. Cold Case. Woohoo. Caught the beginning of a live stream. You certainly did. Hello, Jean. Holly. Walking the dog in the sunshine. Oh, I do like that. I do like that idea. It's very sunny here, but it's chilly. Pretty chilly. Not too bad, though. Deputy Dog, the unnamed true crime channel. Sharon, Belinda, Babe. We got a few people coming in. Rambling Rome, Amy. All right. All right, without further ado. So if you're watching this on the replay, the live actually starts here. Just fast forward all the hellos. Fast forward all the hellos. Talking about yesterday's WH showdown. Don't know what that means. WH. It's all these people writing in initials. It confuses me. Free Richard Allen. Right, that does make sense to me. That does make sense. Parked up by the river in the sunshine today. Oh, White House. Oh, I get you. Oh, yeah, I saw some headlines on Twitter. I didn't look into it, though. I didn't know what was going on. All right. Okay. All right. State's response to defendant's motion to preserve and produce specific evidence. And as we go through, when Nick directs us to an exhibit, we will go to that exhibit and we'll read it. So we'll get through everything in the order at which Nick McClelland has kindly presented it all to us. Now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland respectfully asks the court to deny the defendant's verified motion to preserve and produce specific evidence. Don't you worry, Nick. Of course she's going to deny it. She's already denied it. She's already denied it. Prematurely, but I'm quite sure she can just come along and deny it again. And the motion to set this matter for a hearing in their entirety. The state would ask the court to consider the following. So this is what? A whole bunch of points. We've got 5 pages of points for Judge Gould to consider. She doesn't need all these points. All she needs to know is that, oh, it's a defense filing. I must deny that. That as the court has already outlined on its February 14th, 2025 order, there is no authority for the defense to request that the evidence be preserved by the state. And the state would ask the court to deny the same. So they don't have to preserve any evidence. Doesn't matter if, there's a bunch of stuff that came in about the murder of 2 teenage girls that Richard Allen has been convicted for. Doesn't matter that there's a bunch of other evidence out there. They don't have to keep it. They don't have to preserve it. No, they don't have to. And Judge Gold says that she can't direct the state of Indiana or law enforcement to keep this stuff. She can't do it. She can't do it. It's out of her control. They can do what they want. All right. That the defense in their motion also asked the state to produce specific evidence demonstrating exculpatory evidence for the defendant. Yes, it's called Brady versus Maryland. Where have you been, Nick? Yes, you got to produce it. Exculpatory evidence. You've got to produce it. Okay. That the state has outlined this in previous filings, but discovery is evidence in a case that the state intends to use at trial, or evidence that tends to exonerate the defendant, referred to as exculpatory evidence. Not all information gathered in an investigation is discovery. That's word salad, but let's break that down. That the state has outlined this in previous filings, but discovery is evidence in a case that the state tends to use at trial. Okay. So evidence that the state tends to use at trial. Well, how come then the defense was handed over terabyte after terabyte of discovery, the vast majority of which wouldn't have been relevant to the prosecution of Richard Allen, but yet you turn that over to the defense as discovery. So all the stuff about the Odinists, that was all discovery that the state turned over. The defense wouldn't have known anything about the Odinists had that not been turned over as discovery. So you can't pick and choose, Nick, the stuff that you hand over, which is not connected to the prosecution of Richard Allen, that you hand over as discovery, and then stuff that you keep back and you choose not to hand over. For what reason, I don't know. You can't pick and choose. It's either discovery or it isn't. So just hand everything over. Hand everything over connected to the Delphi murders. Given that Richard Allen has been convicted of the Delphi murders, wouldn't you think that all of the information in the state's possession relevant to the Delphi murders is relevant to the prosecution of Richard Allen? Yes, so would I. I think so as well. Or evidence that tends to exonerate the defendant, referred to as exculpatory evidence. So the state, as outlined in previous filings, discovery is evidence in a case that the state intends to use at trial, or evidence that tends to exonerate the defendant, referred to as exculpatory evidence. So yes, that's the stuff that you've got to turn over. That's the stuff, the exculpatory evidence that we're talking about here, tends to exonerate the defendant. What does that mean? That it could maybe exculpate the defendant. So all of the stuff about the Odinists, Nick rightly turned over because that was stuff that could exonerate Richard Allen. But then again, once he realizes that the defense are going to use it, then he gets it banned from the trial. He also gets Ron Logan banned from the trial, and Kegan Klein banned from the trial, and Tony Klein banned from the trial. So all this stuff that could potentially exonerate Richard Allen wasn't allowed to be brought in front of the jury to let them decide. The only people who could, lawfully have decided on all of this evidence, put it all in front of the jury. And rightly, Nick turned that over to the defense. But now that it doesn't suit him, now that he knows that, there's a whole new line of inquiry here via Ricci Davis He wants to just block it all because he doesn't want to give the defence any more lines of attack now that we're, looking at appeals. Not all information gathered in an investigation is discovery. Yeah, but all the stuff that you handed over as discovery, well, you did the right thing there, Nick, didn't you? You handed over a lot of stuff that could have, if put in front of a jury, exonerated Richard Allen. Now, just now, you've decided that not all the evidence that you've collected, not all the evidence in your possession is discovery. Well, why don't you let the defence decide that? Okay. That most of what Ricci Davis told Attorney Baldwin is false. Well, how do you know it's false? How do you know what's false and what isn't false? So he's making the unilateral decision to decide that what Ricci Davis has said is false. Now, Attorney Andrew Baldwin had the opportunity to fact-check the information that Ricci Davis provided to him, but instead chose to put the information in a public motion without verifying its truthfulness. How could he verify its truthfulness? How could he verify its truthfulness? He didn't have possession of the letters. Ricci said he sent potentially 8 letters. Andrew Baldwin was not in possession of those letters to check any accuracy problems in those letters. He can't go back and interview Ron Logan about what he told Ricci in 2017 because Ron Logan is dead. So I guess Andrew Baldwin's got to sit with a spirit box and just hope that Ron Logan, I don't know, checks in. And Kegan Klein, what is the goddamn point of trying to work out what Kegan Klein is saying? Because he's a liar. So how could Andrew Baldwin fact check the information that Ricci Davis provided? What we're saying here is not that every single thing that Ricci said is accurate. What we are saying is that what Ricci has been told. So Ricci is imparting the information that he's been told. And this needs to be thoroughly examined and thoroughly investigated. But it's not down to Andrew Baldwin to do that. It's bringing this to the table and saying this information needs investigating. Where are the investigators here? And why was this not investigated in the first place? Why is it yet again the defence having to bring this up and fight to get this information even given to them? Where's the rest of the letters? Interesting question. So according to the prosecution, any evidence they did not plan to use at trial is not relevant and cannot be deemed discovery. Yeah, that's the size of it, yeah. They've reinvented the definition of discovery. Yeah, that's what they've done. Okay, that the state contacted the Department of Corrections and had the department send a list of all outgoing mail from Ricci Davis to the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office, said herein attached as State's Exhibit 1. Okay, so we've got State's Exhibit 1. All right, so this is Ricci Davis's outgoing letters. So, outgoing letters. All right. So, Indiana Department of Corrections special mail queue out. Much of this is redacted. But yeah, he's redacted most of this. So we go through these pages and we get lots of redactions, except for the times when Ricci Davis is contacting attorneys. Okay, interesting. So various attorneys. We don't know whether they're his attorneys or someone else's attorneys. We don't know any context of these being sent. And let's note the dates here. All from 2024. So all these redactions, all these letters. All right. So we'll go to June. Still on June. So pages and pages and pages of stuff that is completely irrelevant, but just pointing out that Ricci is writing to various people. He writes a lot of letters because there's a lot of redactions. Okay. Oh, here we go. We get the first Carroll County one. So that's 15th of October. Do we have a Carroll County one up here? Don't think we've had a Carroll County one as of yet. So that's our first Carroll County one. And these are all from like different searches, because we've got here pages 1 of 2. So 1, 2, well, what? 3 of 3. They're not in order. So page 3 of 3. That's page 1 of 2. So there's a lot that Nick isn't even giving. So that's pages 1 of 2. Then we've got page 3 of 3. So that's from a different report. Then we've got page 2 of 2. Then we've got page 2 of 3. So there's obviously a lot more that Nick has held back. So this is now page 1 of 3. Outgoing legal bag mail. So Carroll County, 4th of October. Page 2 of 3. So is that the same as that? Page 1 of 3. 2 of 3. And then that just ends. So potentially these are all in the wrong order, or this page is missing. Isn't that interesting? So maybe that page 3 of 3, it's page 2 of 2. Maybe that page 3 of 3 could come at the end. Then we've got a page 1 of 2. So, you know, if somebody printed it out, maybe you could put them in order. Not that it really matters, because Nick's probably hiding the ball anyway, you know, in all of these redactions. But we've got 2 Carroll County. We've got 1 10-15, and then we've got 1 10-04. Oh, we've got 3 10-21. So we've got 3 to Carroll County, all in October. But these are all 2024. So in 2024, the Department of Corrections has got 3 records of Ricci contacting Carroll County, assuming that others haven't been hidden, because we don't trust Nick McClelland. I'd like to say Nick McClelland could be relied upon not to hide pages and not to hide things in all of these redactions. But you never know with him, do you? You never know with him. You never know with him. Okay, so back to this. That the court can see from the list, Ricci Davis did not send the state 8 letters. He only sent 3 letters. 1 letter, October 4th, 2025. Okay, so Ricci Davis has travelled into the future to send letters to Carroll County. So he has a time machine in his cell. Did you know that? Did you know that? Also, on October 15th, 2025. So he sent 2 letters from the future, and then he sent one from probably the right time, October 21st, 2024. All during or very near the trial, the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen. Okay, all right, so he sent 3 letters. So why didn't you turn those over to the defense? Because they're pertaining to Richard Allen. They talk about Richard Allen. So in his definition of discovery, as of before, do those letters pertaining to the defence's client, do they not fit into Nick's new definition of discovery? So discovery is evidence in a case that the state tends to use at trial. So didn't want to use them at trial, so therefore we could just hide them. Or that tends to exonerate the defendant. Well, they don't exonerate him, no. So for those reasons, in Nick McClelland's world and his newly defined definition of discovery, he felt that he didn't need to turn those over, even though they were pertaining to a man who was at that time either due to or currently facing trial for a double murder. Okay. Glad we've got that clear. So we've got 3 letters on record, all right, from the Indiana Department of Corrections. We've got 3 letters, all in October. So was there really 8 letters? Did Ricci misremember? And he actually only sent 3 letters, given that he obviously sends a lot of letters. So did he misremember? Possibly. Or is there more letters that we don't have a record of? Do I believe that Ricci only sent 3 letters? I don't know. If Ricci is sending a lot of letters, which he clearly is, I mean, these are just pages and pages of Ricci's letters. Ricci's mail, like outgoing mail. So this is, you've got a lot of redactions here. So has he misremembered? He thought he sent Carroll County more letters, or are there more letters that Nick is choosing not to admit? Only Nick knows that the state was able to recover 2 of the 3 letters sent from Ricci Davis. So why are they only able to recover 2 of the letters? Oh, I know why. It's because they're not required to preserve any evidence. They're not required to preserve any evidence. Therefore, they probably just threw 1 letter in the bin. So they were able to recover 2 of the 3 letters. Okay. So we don't know what happened to the 3rd. Probably they need Kathy Shank to go in there and find it. It's probably put in a drawer, in a box, and in 5 years' time, it'll resurface. Just send Kathy Shank in. She knows how to find stuff that's been hidden for 5 years. Come on now. Look, October 2024, right? It's not that long ago, is it? It's not like it was from 10 years ago. It's only from a few months ago. So are they admitting? Is Nick admitting that the Carroll County, letters section, letters department, just routinely uses stuff? Do they not save correspondence? How can you only recover 2 of the 3 letters? So the one sent October 4th, 2025, and the letter of October 21st, 2025. Okay. So the one from October 15th, 2025, they can't find that one. They've lost it. That says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot. Dear God. Dear God. Herein attached, Estates Exhibit 2 and 3. All right. So we'll read the letters in a moment. We'll just take Nick's note of what they say, and then we'll decide whether they actually say that. So that the letters sent by Ricci Davis are not exculpatory for Richard Allen, and therefore not evidence or discovery. So, inculpatory evidence of a man that they are currently prosecuting, because remember, these are from October, the same month of the trial. So that's not considered evidence or discovery. I can't with this man. I can't with this man. Unbelievable. The letters sent by Ricci Davis are not exculpatory for Richard Allen and therefore are not evidence or discovery. Oh, I know why. Because Nick didn't want to use them at trial. So therefore, he doesn't have to turn those over to the defence. All right. In his new reinvented definition of discovery. Because he doesn't want to use them. Because he can't use them, even though they're inculpatory to Richard Allen, he can't use them because they also implicate Ron Logan and Kegan Klein, two of the people that he doesn't want the defence to mention. So he can't open the door. He can't use these letters because he can't open the door on these other people. The letters, in fact, accuse Richard Allen of committing the murders. It's not exculpatory evidence for Richard Allen. It is inculpatory evidence for Richard Allen. That the letter dated October 4th, 2025 is titled Information on Kegan Klein and Richard Allen. The letter goes on to implicate Richard Allen in the murders, stating that he set up the meeting with the girls. He is the one that killed the youngest girl, and that once the girls were killed, Richard Allen moved the bodies. Okay. This sounds like this information has come from Kegan. This is the type of novelistic viewpoint of the case known only to Kegan Klein. Right? This is just a Kegan Klein story that Ricci has recited. Yeah, moved them all by himself. Yeah, you got these other two guys there, but Richard Allen moved the bodies by himself. This is Kegan Klein world, this is. That in the letter dated October 21st, 2025, Ricci Davis stated that Ron Logan, Kegan Klein and Richard Allen are responsible for the murders. He goes on to state that attorney Andrew Baldwin is an ignorant lawyer who was hinting me to lie for him and his client, saying I should know how it is. Although the state has diligently searched all the evidence involved in this case, the state cannot locate or even verify that the second letter sent from Ricci Davis was received by this office. Okay, so diligently searched all the evidence. Well, I thought you said that this wasn't evidence. I thought you said these letters weren't evidence. So, yeah, searching the evidence you've got for this case, you're not going to find that letter because it's probably in a box entitled Not Evidence. I don't know. So, potentially, he's saying that they've misfiled it, or he's saying they didn't even receive it. So it got lost. It got lost in the mail. Lost in the mail. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. The James Winters. So this is James Winters. We've had an affidavit from him. He's Ricci Davis's uncle. James Winters did call the prosecutor's office on October 15th, 2025. So he can also travel into the future. And near October 21st, 2025, to verify that this office had received the letters sent by Ricci Davis. However, at the time, he did not indicate how many letters that Ricci Davis sent or where he sent them. He just called to confirm that the state had received some letters from Ricci Davis. So, yeah, they said, yeah, we've got letters. Yeah, we've got 3 letters this month. So you knew about them. You knew about them. Of course you knew about them. Further, he indicated to this office that both Kegan Klein and Ricci Davis had been subpoenaed by the defence to testify at the trial against Richard Allen. That the state's response to the motion to correct error, the state referred to the evidence that Ricci Davis supplied to Attorney Baldwin as not matching the physical evidence found at the scene. The state therefore finds the information that Ricci Davis supplied is not credible. Oh. Okay. There is 0 evidence found in the investigation that Ron Logan and Kegan Klein knew each other or shared or exchanged child pornography. I could honestly believe that, because once Kegan Klein enters the chat, it all goes to shit because he lies. Okay, so we're going to read these letters. All right, so this was... Does it give a date on this? You have to, like, quick your head 90 degrees. Which one's this? Don't know that it's got a date on it. I'll just send myself dizzy by trying to quick my neck like that. All right, so I don't know which one this is, but we're going to go for it. Delphi murders. Information on Kegan Klein and Richard Allen. Dear Chief Prosecutor, my name is Ricci Davis. I am incarcerated at the Newcastle Correctional Facility. I wasn't comfortable something for fear of not being taken seriously. However, this has to be heard. There are several aspects that at first may seem all over the place. However, if I don't explain it all, you'll get confused. So forgive me, I'll do my best here. Okay, starting well. It says nice handwriting. I can't read it. I really struggle to read this kind of handwriting. So some years ago, something in maybe named Ron Logan came here to Newcastle, and I daily communicated with him, and a lot of things he opened up about made my ex-girlfriend contact the FBI. So this would have been the call that came in on the 15th of May 2017. So just 3 months after the murders. So a man came in. Okay, that makes sense. So Ricci told his girlfriend, so his girlfriend called the FBI and sent in a tip. To do the right thing, say the least. Trying to do the right thing. Something. All right. Fast forward. Fast forward something now today. There's also been another guy who was transferred here from another prison back in early March 2014, 19, maybe 19, by the by the name of Kegan Klein. For the last 6 months, he seemed to need a friend and quickly, very something, began to talk of beating the system. Beating the system. Beating the system. It can't be 2014 because Kegan Klein wasn't in prison in 2014. So he might have meant March 2024. But anyway, doesn't matter. All right, so he met Kegan Klein in the same area of Newcastle prison as Kegan Klein. Beating the system, and glad it is Richard Allen who is catch up. However, feared he would ruin his, run his mouth. Feared he would run his mouth. Okay. Note, I am in a protective custody wing with 98% child molesters, and most people speak, and this is so hard for me to do this, speak and brag, possibly, on their cases as a cool thing. I am here on drug charges. However, Kegan Klein assumed I must have a sex case and began talking, and I slowly took information as he appeared to build trust with me. Oddly, since a earlier report by my ex-girlfriend was made regarding Ron Logan. Out of nowhere, this lawyer pops up to visit me, Richard Allen's lawyer, Baldwin, on something, wanting to know if I would come testify on Richard Allen's behalf regarding Logan. I told him no, because I already passed, maybe. I don't know what that means. On planned. Okay, all right. I already planned on contacting you knowing the information to do with Klein. I never told him about Klein because the information involved Richard Allen, Kegan Klein, and Ron Logan, although he has now passed, as you know. I will now explain what Klein has told me. Okay. All right. So he's passing on what Kegan Klein has told him. So anything that Ricci Davis now says regarding the murders comes from Kegan Klein. Kegan Klein is a known liar. Kegan Klein told cops that his dad did the murders while he waited in the truck a red truck. He waited in the truck. And then when his dad came back from committing the murders, he was all bloody and muddy. That's what he said. So we know that Kegan Klein likes to make up stuff about these murders. I think he just does it to troll. I think he thinks it's funny. And the fact that he's got an inmate listening to him and probably like wide-eyed taking it all in, he's carried on telling these stories. So this stuff that now comes from Kegan Klein is false. So Nick isn't wrong when he says the information that has come from Ricci Davis is false. He's not wrong, because it is false. Ricci Davis wasn't to know that at the time, though. Ricci Davis believed Kegan Klein because he also talked about Ron Logan. And bringing it full circle for Ricci, because he was told this stuff in 2017 by Ron Logan himself, which absolutely did include stuff that only the killer would know. Back in May 2017, nobody knew that Libby had an artery cut in her neck, but that Abby died slower because she had a jugular vein cut rather than the carotid artery. Who wrote the Frank's memorandum? Andrew Baldwin. So for Ricci Davis to now listen to Kegan Klein talk about Ron Logan, he would have thought, well, this guy, Kegan, must be telling the truth, because I've heard it from the horse's mouth back in 2017, so 7 years ago, that Ron Logan committed the murders. Now Kegan Klein is opening up that actually 3 people were involved. It was Ron Logan, Kegan Klein, like himself, and Richard Allen. So what Kegan's done is taken an old suspect, Ron Logan. He's put himself there because he likes to, I don't know, imagine himself in these situations. And he's just a fantasist. And Richard Allen, who is the current suspect. So you can see where Kegan has tied this all together. And Ricci has believed him. So Nick's right when he says that what Ricci has said in these letters is false. What it doesn't do, however, what it absolutely doesn't do, is negate what Ricci said in 2017 based on what Ron Logan told him. That is incredibly believable, because back in 2017, nobody knew how those girls died. Not in so many specifics. And also, the thing about the box cutter is incredibly intriguing. All right. That's just my view. But anything that comes from Kegan Klein is a lie. Okay. I will now explain what Klein told me, and I'll share the evidence he informed me of. So you see, I'm doing this in good faith. Kegan told me him and his dad were working a hustle from this back page, making big money from child images. Every 6 months, they bought burner phones for clients, and Richard Allen and Logan were 2 of them, and received new phones from Kegan. From what I was told, they'd done a lot of trading too. I am told they all had their hands in this murder, in these murders, and feels relieved someone has the fall who isn't going to talk. This Allen guy sold a fine firearm to Kegan for these burner phones he supplied. Kegan somehow had the Abbey girl victim take pictures of herself. Okay. And traded these between the three, Alan, Kegan, Logan. Richard Allen set up meeting the girls with Logan. However, they met at Logan's house. Drinking, I think. Logan and Kegan met up with the girls as Alan was at the farm. Kegan had the firearm and Logan had a carpet knife to scare the girls. They walked the girls back to the house where Alan waited. P.S. I also saved a note from Kegan. He wrote something about... I can't read that. Oh, he's writing down the sides. There's no way I can read that. I can't read the bit that's written down the sides. I was unsure about the story being a lot of details. However, I pretended interested over time. Here is some details only the killers would know, and something yourself, so you can weigh the information out. He informed me he and Alan moved the bodies 3 times and they were not killed where the girls were found. He said they staged the scene, whatever that means. The youngest girl was kept alive longer, and Alan didn't want to kill her, but Kegan made him because it was too late. He said they all got something. They all got, I don't know, leaving town in their own cars to Lafayette to get rid of evidence. Oh, nervous. No, they all got nervous. All right, they all got nervous. Leaving town in their own cars and to the Lafayette to get rid of evidence. I honestly don't see him making all this up. Oh, I do. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. Because he told the cops that when they were driving back to Peru, they threw the murder weapon that his dad used over into the Wabash River. And then the cops spent over a month searching the Wabash River for evidence. So absolutely, I can believe that Kegan Klein would make this shit up because he's got people listening to him. Kegan is one of those guys who probably, didn't get much attention at school, probably, has these fantasies of being this young male model who all the girls will swoon over, and that's why he made the Anthony Shots profile and used a male model's photos pretending to be him. And then he starts telling the cops all sorts of stories, so much so that they searched the Wabash River for over a month. Yeah, it reminds Stacey Wanderer. Yeah. Yeah, he is a lot like Stacey Wanderer. Yeah. So I can understand why Ricci would believe him. I absolutely can understand why Ricci would believe him. But Nick's right that this does not fit. It does not fit the evidence that we know about the crime scene. It absolutely does not. So I completely disregard this. However, what I don't disregard Ricci. Ricci is telling his truth. He's telling what he was told as faithfully as he can, thinking that he's helping. But he's been yet another unfortunate victim of Kegan Klein's stories. However, what we can't discount is what Ricci was told by Ron Logan in 2017. That's incredibly believable because it's so close to the murders and did include details that only the killer would know. And it fits what Ron Logan told Ricci, fits the timeline better than Richard Allen's, the state's theory of how Richard Allen did the murders. Fits it better. Fits it better than that. So my money is still on Logan. I don't think Kegan had anything to do with it. Kegan deserves to get more years put on his sentence for just being a lying little scumbag. Look, he's in prison for 40 years anyway. But he's only in his 20s. Maybe he hit 30 yet. He's only a young man. But, he's got 40 years. He's going to get out at some point. He may make it through and get out. I'd like to see another 10 or 20 years added on so that he never gets out. So let's start billing up all of the lies that he's told and charge him with that. Because he's a liar. He's an absolute liar. So yeah, these are lies. However, what it doesn't do, that Nick thinks it does, it doesn't inculpate Richard Allen because it's all a lie that Kegan Klein has made up. Okay. I honestly don't see him making all this up. However, if it appears he did for some sick reason, just disregard this letter. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry, Ricci. Nick did disregard it. If by chance it seems to meet the evidence you are dealing with, you are welcome to come speak with me. To be honest, I'm only comfortable speaking with you for the moment. Please understand that snitch something is real in prison. However, I will talk to you for the time being. Okay, so seeing yours, take her. All right, second letter. Or rather, third letter. So received October 23rd, 2024, Carroll County Prosecutor. All right. Snitch label, thank you. Snitch label. Let's be clear. It's Kegan that's lying to Ricci. Ricci is recounting what he was told by Kegan. So the lies come from Kegan, not Ricci. Let's be clear on that. All right, so this is the October letter. Dear Mr. McClelland, if you will look back on record, the same information now being shared, the evidence, I reported that the girls were cut up and their throats cut back in 2018. I think he means 2017. I think he means 2017 because the tip that came in from Ricci was May 2017. Now, maybe he also communicated in 2018 that we're not aware of, but we do know, we absolutely know, because it was in the Iran database, that he communicated with the FBI in 2017. I reported the girls were don't know what that means. Were and hidden in a barn, and drove around with until the search started. I reported that Logan left town, leaving the girls with 2 others until he got back because Logan got nervous. Recently, as I priorly noted, I learnt now the last 5 months also who else was involved. You have one now and Kegan Klein. If I don't know, had 5 minutes to explain, you would see they all are involved. I offered the detective who come to see me in 2017, just to put a wire on me and let them conclude for themselves what all Logan was saying. So in 2017, when the detective came to speak with him, he offered to wear a wire so that they could catch Ron Logan. But they declined. They didn't want him to wear a wire, but he did offer. Can someone get Ricci a typewriter? Are they allowed those things in prison? I don't think so. In case somebody used it as a weapon. Okay. McClelland, possibly. They declined the offer. Something. It's a perfect opportunity, as it is a perfect investigation tool for 2 reasons. First, it would provided the information from the source and to eliminate of misinformation as the reality of something. The reality of inmates' credibility is within danger zone. Oh, trusting. Okay, reality of trusting an inmate's credibility is within danger zone. I get it. The problem was the detective and examiners maybe came with the mixed mindset came with the mindset of not wanting to believe me before I even spoke. I have a disability of Tourette's syndrome, as it provoked my nervous system. I take several medications for treatment, and they gave me no chance to explain these facts. That is the reason I just seemingly offered to just put a wire on and allow it to be recorded. Fast forward, I was visited by an attorney, Andrew Baldwin, who is representing Richard Allen, about 2.5 months ago. So Andy Baldwin went to see him in March. He's writing in October, so it's more than 2.5 months ago. But I guess the time doesn't really matter much in prison, does it? I didn't know he was. However, he stated he was investigating past reports and my name came up. So yeah, his name came up because he'd made that report about Ron Logan back in 2017. He informed me that the information I gave in 2017 lined up with the actual evidence of the murder scene. It absolutely does. He asked if I would come testify at the trial. I told him no, and the reason was knowing his client, Kegan Klein, and Ron Logan were all involved. So that's exactly what he told Andrew Baldwin when Andrew Baldwin went to see him in, well, just a few weeks ago. When was it? February. So only a couple of weeks ago. Ricci said that. He said, I didn't want to talk to you back then because I thought Richard Allen was involved. And he thought Richard Allen was involved because Kegan Klein tells a good story. Kegan Klein should be writing mystery novels. He should be writing murder novels. He should be, in the true crime genre as a fiction writer. Okay, long story short, I wasn't going to help because I was planning on repeating the information to your office. Mr. McClelland, this ignorant lawyer, was hinting me to lie for him and his client, saying that I should know how it is. Please hear me out. Something I can never relate to child killers. I don't know what planet this attorney is on. It felt insulting in a way. He indicated this occult issue. He is far from right because Klein told me they staged the scene because Ron knew they were coming after him, because by the time they were killed, the police were everywhere and through the night, and there was no way to get the girls out of the area. Okay. Okay. I hope we can speak, because although Logan has passed away, the other two need to face the consequences. I've been afraid that I'm not taken serious and Kegan will somehow get off and must not see his day in court. I pray while something heartedly, maybe you'll allow, or wholeheartedly, you'll allow me to explain everything so you can compare the information to validate. I don't expect to be believed, however, you compare the information. Thank you, and as I promised, I would send the note Kegan wrote, and I'll send it with this to Ricci Davis. So where's the note? Where's Kegan's note? So we've not got Kegan's note. All right. Okay. Back to something that I can actually read. Dear God. All right. Listen, when I write, I can't read my own handwriting. When I write, it's like a spider has crawled across the page with ink on his feet. I can't read my own writing back, so There's no chance I'm going to be able to read anyone else's. I did it. Yeah, I did most of it. I got most of it. All right, so zero evidence found in the investigation that Ron Logan and Kegan Klein knew each other and shared or exchanged child porn. No, because this is the fantasy of Kegan Klein. So we know this. So the state was able to obtain recent communications between Kegan Klein and various civilians, where Kegan Klein denies allegations sent out by Ricci Davis, herein attached as States Exhibit 4. So Kegan Klein, doing his usual stuff, tells a lie and then walks it back. So he tells a lie to one person and then walks it back to somebody else. He just enjoys it. He enjoys the drama. Listen, he's got nothing else to do. He just enjoys the drama. All right, so we've got inmate comprehensive messages report. So this is between the 7th and the 21st of February of this year. So these are incoming. And then I think we've got some outgoing. So we have incoming first and then outgoing. All right. So incoming. To Kegan Klein. We don't know who sent them though. Subject credits. Here's 10. I'll send the other 4 separately. Here's the rest. So this is credits to somebody. So we don't know who is sending this, which is a shame. So, Ricci Davis, we wanted to reach out to you to see if you'd heard about the most recent filings in the Richard Allen case. Have Murder Sheet sent this? Is this Murder Sheet? We wanted to reach out to you. I bet this is Murder Sheet. I don't know why I think that. It's just that we wanted to reach out to you because they're just slimy. I don't know though. We wanted to reach out to you to see if you'd heard about the most recent filing in the Richard Allen case. One of Allen's trial attorneys claims he spoke with Ricci Davis and that Ricci Davis talked to him about you. According to Davis, you made comments to him indicating that you were involved in the murders, that Ronald Logan was too, and that you had info only the killers would know. Do you have any comment on this? Okay. And then, I don't know whether this is the same. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God, this is a long one. This is a long one. So we don't know whether this is the same person or somebody else, but this is a day later. You are mentioned in legal filing. All right. Hi, Kegan. I'm not sure if you are talking to anyone who keeps you updated about when you are being mentioned in legal filings, but on February 14th, Richard Allen's defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin, filed a motion that referenced you being involved in the Delphi murders. February 12th, 2025, Baldwin met with Ricci Davis, inmate who previously talked about Ron Logan confessing to him. Davis told Baldwin he met both Kegan Klein and Ron Logan at Newcastle. Logan confessed to being involved in the Delphi murders with 2 other people, but never said who they were, although he revealed details only the killer would know. March 2024, Kegan Klein was placed near Davis, and Kegan Klein asked if Logan mentioned Kegan Klein's name, and Davis began to realize Kegan Klein may be one of the other 2 killers. So this is quoting what Ricci said. Kegan Klein revealed details of the murders that corroborates details Logan told Davis that only the killers would know. These conversations continued until Richard Allen was found guilty in November 2025, and Kegan Klein told Davis he was relieved he would no longer be a suspect. Kegan Klein told Davis that Richard Allen was not the 3rd killer, and Allen was not involved in the murders of Abby and Libby. Kegan Klein told Davis he knew Ron Logan from trading CSAM and sharing burner phones and would meet every 3 to 6 months to show Logan how to use the phone. That's it. Baldwin filed the motion because he said Allen's defense never received the 8 letters Ricci said he sent to Nick McClelland, Carroll County prosecutor, or a videotaped police interview of Davis, and that the defense could have used that information to show that Ron Logan and you were involved in the murders and Richard Allen is innocent. Is this stuff true? How would you describe Ricci Davis? Is he unreliable, stroke making stuff up? Apparently, he took a polygraph about what he said Ron Logan confessed to and failed miserably. Oh, we're quoting Nick McClelland now. Some of the details were included in a court filing and did not match up to the case or crime scene facts. Thanks. Okay. So I think just by the writing style, I think that's Murder Sheet. We wanted to reach out to you, and then that's somebody else. I think. Okay. Then we've got outgoing. Oh, we've got one more incoming. Hey, just a heads up, Holly is back at it. And she plans on contacting you to get details. You're a grown man. Just know anything you say with her will be shared online. Okay. So Holly's back at it. All right, these are outgoing. So we may be able to match some of these up. We may be able to match some of these up. So 217. So we've got 214 and 215 for those two ones with substance. So Kegan replies on 217. Okay. So this is, I think, to Murder Sheet, because their title was Ricci Davis. That dude is an idiot. I've only talked to him maybe 2 times. He's one of those guys in prison that tries to write all different prosecutors to get time cuts on people's case. It's laughable. He also pimps himself out for... He pimps himself out for commissary and drugs. He's a complete loser and drug addict. Way to go. And then you're mentioning illegal filing. So he responds to that one. Lol, that's so funny. He's so stupid. If anyone could see who Ricci really is, he writes a bunch of prosecutors on people's cases, saying a bunch of lies to get a time cut. Well, he's never asked for a time cut. Never. Yeah, it's Rich coming from Kegan. Exactly. Who's Kegan? He's sitting there thinking he's like the king of the wing. He's the king of the wing, telling all these stories. He's got all this interest, from podcasters and YouTubers. It's all gone to his head. He likes fucking about with people's lives. He's led law enforcement on this massive wild goose chase. And he's just a shit stirrer. Absolute shit stirrer. All right, I've talked to the dude maybe 2 times. The police know I had nothing to do with that shit. I have no clue who Ron Logan was until people told me. Oh, rubbish. You knew who Ron Logan was. Listen, he's been following this case, right? Him and Tony Klein had their house raided. Something like 11 days after the murders, their house was raided. So they've been aware of this case all that time. They were aware of it as, you know, potential suspects all that time. Why it took them so long to release the information about the Anthony Shots profile to the public, I'll never know. But they knew about it. They knew about it from Libby's phone communications. So, of course, Kegan Klein knew who Ron Logan was, or at least maybe knew the name. Anyway, Ricci goes by Ghost. Goes by Ghost. He's a drug addict loser, the worst of the worst in prison. He pimps himself out for commissary and pills. I wish I would have known all this when he was here, lol. I needed a good laugh, thank you. Well, that's all he is doing. He's having a good laugh. He's having a good laugh. Hope all is good with you and the fires in LA. Be safe, man. Have a good one. So, who lives in LA who writes to Kegan Klein? And then Ree Hay. So this is Ree Holly. Yeah, I'm not worried about her, lol. Thanks for the heads up. I've gotten so many messages about Ricci. It's so funny. That dude is such a joke. Yeah, because now he knows that the crap that he's been feeding Ricci has hit the airwaves and he can have a good laugh about it. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So we got some more incoming here. We got some more incoming. So this is 218. So this again is Ricci Davis. So yeah, we had trouble believing Ricci Davis' story. So again, we had trouble. Oh, it's Fig Souls, is it? Okay. Okay. This is really interesting. You can match them up with the titles. So this is potentially the murder shits. Potentially. I mean, who else writes, you know, as we? There might be other people who write as we. I don't know. But we had trouble believing Ricci Davis' story because it didn't sound realistic for you just to go up to this guy and start saying stuff like that. It didn't make any sense. It just didn't sound like something you would do. You mentioned talking to him twice. Did he ask you about Delphi? Do you remember what you talked about with him? How do you feel about getting dragged back into this? Long shot. But do you know if any prosecutors he's written to, people whose cases he's worked on? No worries if not. Just figured we'd ask. Are there other people there who might be willing to write to us about Ricci Davis? So it's somebody who wants to get all the dirt on Ricci Davis. Okay. 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 If we reached out to them, we will probably talk about this on our show. This is them. This is Anya and Kevin, I'm sure. I'm sure. Is there anything else you feel we should know about him and this story he is telling about you? You should also know he's saying that you told him that you would meet with Ron Logan every few months to help him access child sexual abuse materials. Did you know Logan at all? All right, so this is Ree Hay. This is regarding Holly. She didn't say much about him. She posted online that your dad was giving you $5,000 at a time to keep quiet, and that when you got a subpoena, you had her call Rosie and tell him if they transported you, you would just plead the fifth. Aside from that, Cassie lost the Super Bowl. I was so bummed. Lol, random, I know. Okay, and then we've got, you mentioned an illegal filing. Okay, so I'm losing track. So is this, so murder sheet? Potentially. And then this we think is Fig. This one we're not sure about. Okay. All right. So this, we'll not call him Fig just in case it isn't. We'll call him LA Guy. So this is LA Guy. I appreciate you clearing that up. It was scary with the fires and the winds were so fast that embers were floating several miles, and normally residential neighbourhoods were immune to mass fire destruction, but the winds took it to an uncomfortable or uncontrollable level. I had to evacuate for a few hours, but my neighbourhood is fine. But I know a few people who lost their homes and everything inside. Makes me thankful for the little I have. Thank you. All right, and then we've got some more income. Oh no, outgoing. Got another outgoing. So this is out. So that's incoming. Now we've got another outgoing. So we're back to outgoing. So potentially murder sheet. No, I'm not sure, but I know that it was about a murder at Michigan City years ago. Yeah, I talked to him about my lawsuit against ISP due to me getting stabbed. And no, I don't know anyone that would talk. Everyone feels the same about him, though. He is a joke. No, I didn't know Ron Logan or anything about that case. If I did, I wouldn't be in prison for 43 years over a few pictures. Over a few pictures. Okay. I lost my best friend, being my dad, over all the lies all these other people have said about him. It's crazy. I hate being brought back into all this stuff, especially over the most outlandish lies you could imagine. Okay. Okay. All right, we got incoming. So we got a different one. Hi. So we've got hi. Well, it appears that you're in the spotlight once again, lol. Lol. And then we've got outgoing, re-hi. Yeah, it's so stupid. I can't believe they're putting all the stuff on the news when it's not even true. We know it's not true, Kegan, because you said it. Anything you say isn't true. But he loves it. He loves it. He's seen himself in the news now. He loves it. I wish you could see how stupid this guy is, lol. I've talked to him maybe 2 times, and it was about me getting stabbed and my lawsuit. It's insane. All right, so you didn't even talk about the Delphi murders. Hope you're doing good. We are getting our new tablets next week, thank God. Great to hear from you. Hope you message me more often. Oh, he loves it. He loves it. All this drama that he's created. That was interesting. That was interesting. All right, back to Nick. So they were able to obtain recent communications between Kegan Klein and various civilians. States Exhibit 4, as we've just read. So States Exhibit 4 was 2 weeks. 2 weeks of communications, presumably selective communications. I'm sure that Kegan is writing to other people, but these were, I guess, the relevant communications. Unless no one ever writes to him. Maybe no one ever writes to him other than when he's in the news. Further, in these text communications, Kegan Klein states that Ricci Davis is an idiot. I've only talked to him maybe 2 times. He's one of those guys in prison that tries to write all different prosecutors and get time cuts on people's case. It's laughable. So now, Nick McClelland is taking Kegan Klein's words and using Kegan Klein's lies and using them in a court filing to disregard Ricci Davis and discredit Richard Allen's defense team. That's how insane this case has become. That Nick McClelland is using Kegan Klein as evidence that the defense motion should be denied. This is crazy. This is nuts. This is nuts. Kegan reiterates this point in several of the responses that he texts. Oh, he said it several times, therefore it must be true. That the court can see from States Exhibit 1, Ricci Davis did send several other letters out to other attorneys, which adds credence to statements that Kegan Klein made about Ricci Davis's behaviour. Well, he does. He does write to other people. He writes a lot. Is he writing to other attorneys? Yes. Is it related to other people's cases? Maybe. Maybe it is. So what? So what if he is writing to other people's attorneys? Maybe people trust him. Maybe he gets involved because people trust him. Maybe he's not the kind of guy that Kegan Klein has portrayed him as. We don't know because we're not there. But it's interesting that Nick McClelland is choosing, right, to cherry pick the things that aren't redacted in States Exhibit 1. He's choosing which ones not to redact, with his highlighter pen as well. All right, because it supports what Kegan Klein's saying. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just because he wants a motion denied, which of course she's going to deny. He didn't even have to go this far. Of course she's going to deny it. That Attorney Andrew Baldwin could have requested this information from the Department of Corrections to verify or debunk Ricci Davis's statements before he made his filing, but chose to file the motion without verifying the allegations. Anything that Nick has provided here does not verify anything. It doesn't verify that Kegan Klein is telling the truth. I mean, look, yeah, Andrew Baldwin could have got this from the Department of Corrections, but it's meaningless. Like, we don't know why he's writing to all of the people that he's writing to. He might be writing to people because he's got nice handwriting and he takes up people's cases. Because, I don't know, maybe he's an empath. Maybe he gets involved in people's cases. I don't know. But it certainly doesn't debunk what Ricci Davis has said. What it does, absolutely what it does, is say, well, we know what Kegan told Ricci does not fit the evidence that we have about the crime scene and about the timeline. It doesn't. But it doesn't mean that Ricci is lying. Ricci is recounting what Kegan told him in good faith. He thought Kegan was telling him the truth. And therefore, that's what he wrote to Carroll County and refused to talk to Andrew Baldwin because he thought that Kegan was credible and that Richard Allen was involved. So, of course, he's not going to want to talk to Andrew Baldwin under those circumstances. But what it absolutely doesn't do is negate what Ricci had said in 2017 about what Ron Logan told him. Because what Ron Logan told him absolutely does fit the information that we have about the crime scene and about the way that the girls died. And it also fits Ron Logan's the recounting that Ricci has done about what Ron Logan told him fits the timeline of events based on Libby's phone better than the state's theory of how Richard Allen committed the murders. All right. Attorney Andrew Baldwin, by his own admission, interviewed Ricci Davis on March 27th, 2024. So what? Why is that a point? Why is that relevant to a denial of a motion? That Attorney Andrew Baldwin had every opportunity before trial to depose Ricci Davis and had every opportunity to call him as a witness at any hearing or a trial, and he chose not. Hold on a minute. How could he have called him? How could he have called him to the hearing in August? Because at that time, he wasn't willing to be a defense witness. And yeah, they could have subpoenaed him, but he wouldn't have been a useful witness, would he? So why would they have called him? And then they couldn't call him for the trial anyway, because they weren't allowed to talk about any third-party suspects. So why would they call him? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. In fact, from James Winter's statement to this office, Andrew Baldwin had in fact subpoenaed Ricci Davis to testify at the trial for Richard Allen. Yeah, but then didn't call him because they weren't allowed to talk about any third-party potential suspects. They weren't allowed. They were banned by Nick McClelland's own motion in limine. So he talks to both sides of his mouth. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, Attorney Baldwin now wants to present these statements from Ricci Davis as irrefutable proof without any evidence or corroboration to back up the statements. That Ricci Davis' statements to Attorney Andrew Baldwin do not match the statements he made in the letters he sent to the state. In those letters, he does not say Richard Allen is innocent or not involved, which is exactly what Andrew Baldwin has said. That originally he thought that that's why Ricci didn't want to talk to him, because Kegan Klein told him that Richard Allen was involved and he didn't want to help Richard Allen's defense. So it's Kegan Klein, once again, who has messed all of this up by lying. In those letters, he does not say Richard Allen is innocent or involved. Quite the opposite. He says Richard Allen participated in the murders and is guilty. But now he knows that that's not true. The evidence that contains allegations that the defendant is guilty with no proof of those allegations is not exculpatory evidence and therefore does not have to be turned over to the defense. That there is not a video interview of Ricci Davis that exists within discovery or within the state's possession. Oh, so now he's saying that Ricci Davis is lying about being interviewed. Okay. So Ricci Davis was interviewed in June of 2017. So the fact that there's no video interview of Ricci Davis within discovery or in the state's possession is a problem. So where is that interview? Where is it? Is this yet another interview that's been lost? Was it not videoed? Was it not recorded? Is there an audio recording of it? Or is this yet another piece of evidence that is lost? Isn't it interesting that this is evidence that implicates Ron Logan? Oh, the same Ron Logan that Nick McClelland promised to protect. Oh, isn't that just a coincidence? Interesting. Yeah, Ricci was interviewed in 2017, June 2017. That even if this was evidence the defence wished to use at trial, it was not newly discovered evidence. The defence knew of Ricci Davis, had interviewed him and had subpoenaed him for trial and chose not to present the evidence to the court. They couldn't present. Oh my God. All right. Okay. Whatever you say. Further, as the state has mentioned in previous responses, any information pertaining to Ron Logan or Kegan Klein falls under the state's motion in limine. Further, as the state has mentioned in previous responses, any information pertaining to Ron Logan or Kegan Klein falls under the state's motion in limine concerning third-party motive. Exactly. So they're not allowed to bring it up at trial. However, the defence had 3 days to present evidence to meet their burden for third-party motive. They mentioned Ron Logan but failed to meet their burden with the court. They chose not to present this evidence at that hearing. Yeah, because they knew that Ricci Davis wasn't a cooperative witness. So of course they're not going to call him. They'd be stupid to call him. He wasn't a cooperative witness at that time. They also did not present this evidence when they renewed their motion during the trial. This now seems to be an effort by the defence to use this motion to circumvent their burden concerning third-party motive. That none of the evidence that the state has gathered from Ricci Davis is exculpatory, nor is it discovery. That this motion seems yet another attempt by attorney Andrew Baldwin to push a certain narrative to the public. Oh, what about the narrative that you're pushing, Nick? What about the narrative that you're pushing? That Rick Allen did it. Little Rick Allen all on his own. What about that narrative? Because that narrative, the theory that you propose that the jury bought, does not fit your own evidence that you presented at the trial. Specifically, the online world. He seems to file these types of motions with very bold allegations that he neither verifies the information nor does he present any evidence to back up the statements. That is unfortunate. That motions by the defence in this case have come to the point where they present statements from an inmate as fact without any legal or evidentiary support. Well, right, Nick, your very, your biggest bit of quote unquote evidence that you put in front of the jury that prosecuted Richard Allen, that convicted Richard Allen, was one from an inmate, Richard Allen himself, whilst he was in psychosis. Had it not been for that confession that he gave Monica Waller, which I don't believe anyway, I think Monica Waller fed that to him, but had it not been for that, would Richard Allen have ever been prosecuted? Probably not. Would a jury have bought the little evidence that you had to bring to the table? All they had was the unspent round. The unspent round that scientifically could easily be debunked. They had to develop a theory from a so-called confession that probably never even happened, and their own evidence from Libby's phone does not fit their theory. So it's rich coming from Nick McClelland that we have to have this narrative that is fed to the public, which sadly has convicted Richard Allen for 130 years. Yeah. Wherefore, the state of Indiana, by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland, respectfully requests this court deny the defendant's motion in its entirety without a hearing and for all other just and proper release, blah, 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 blah. Oh, the state affirms on the penalty of perjury that the above is true and accurate to the best of the state's knowledge. Cool. All right, Nikki. Good for you. Good for you. Absolute, complete nonsense. Total nonsense. Unbelievable. So Kegan Klein has basically made anything that comes from Ricci Davis now, in the eyes of the public, who will choose to say, oh, the defence is only trying to get Richard Allen off and they're bringing up all sorts of crap from these inmates, Kegan Klein is the one that has told the lies, that has now discredited Ricci Davis for the world. And yet we've got that 2017 confession by Ron Logan, which is incredibly compelling. And people aren't going to believe that either now. I think what we have to be careful to do is separate what Ricci was told in 2017 by Ron Logan as being very credible, and then what he was told in 2024 by Kegan Klein, which is just another one of Kegan Klein's stories. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Let's not discredit Ricci for believing Kegan Klein, when Ricci actually had some very credible information from Ron Logan in 2017, which was never followed up. You know, they interviewed him. According to Nick McClelland, that interview isn't even in the discovery, isn't even in the evidence. So it's yet another interview that appears to have been lost in some way, shape, or form. So if there's no video of it, of Ricci Davis being interviewed in June of 2017, if there's no video, is there an audio file somewhere? Or has that been lost as well? And if so, why? If so, why? Abby and Libby were dead. There's absolutely no doubt that Abby and Libby were dead in those crime scene photos. No doubt. So I don't know what the conversation is about really, but if anybody's thinking that Abby and Libby were alive or whatever, that is not true. They were dead. In those photos, they were dead. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Yeah, they were, some idiot released them on Twitter. Who is KK protecting? Who is the third one? KK is not protecting anybody. KK is making up stories. He's making up fantasies. That's what he's doing. As he always does. I said this when this all came out about Kegan Klein saying that there was 3 people involved. I said, I don't believe anything Kegan says. I don't believe anything he says. And I'll maintain that. I do not believe him. I just don't. All right. Anyway, I'm going to go. So I was going to come back and do the Seth Rogers interview. Some people have said that they want me to go through the full interview, the full Seth Rogers interview in the Sebastian Rogers case. But I kind of don't feel like it. I've got a bit of a headache. I've got like a bit of flu or something. I don't know. I just feel under the weather. Feel a bit like, I had a fever yesterday. And I just don't feel good. So I'm not going to. But I'll do the Seth Rogers interview tomorrow. I know it'll be old news by then, but the video that I put out yesterday, and I talked about 2 points that came up from that interview, and I said, if you want me to, I'll go over the full interview. And there's quite a few people who've come in my comments and said, yes, they would like me to. So I'll do it tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you all. Thank you, mods, as always. Thank you to Kimberly for gifting those 5 memberships earlier on. It's very kind of you. Welcome to the new members. and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.